All right, guys. Going out in the bush for a couple of days, so obviously we need to talk about gear. My mantra when it comes to camping is pack light. Keep it as simple, bare bones as possible. When I first started out when I was a young kid, I had like an 80-liter backpack. I would just pack that thing to the tits and it would just weigh a ton, and I could handle that when you're like 18. But camping trips are so much more enjoyable when you're not like dying because of the weight of your backpack and like blistering on your hips and just sweating it out all day. So I try and go as light as possible. So in order to do that, you have to take the absolute bare minimum amount of gear. So the essentials when you're camping is food, shelter, and fire. That's pretty much all you need when you're camping. And you can enjoy yourself just that. So for shelter, I live on Vancouver Island, and a lot of the places where I go camping is actually like a temperate rainforest. So there's just a ton of rain. You can almost always count on rain. Right now we're having a La Nina summer, so it's just gorgeous. I'm not going to get any rain. But even when I do get a ton of rain, even when I'm camping like in the spring or the fall when there's an insane amount of rain, I don't take a tent pretty much ever unless I just know I'm going to get dumped on. And for some reason I'm a glutton for punishment and I want to go camping anyways. Then I might take a tent. Like I have a tent and I've literally used it like 3 times. Oh, literally. 99% of the time I take this. This is all you need for shelter. This is an 8x10 silicone impregnated tarp. It's a super tough, super thin, waterproof tarp. And it just packs into a bag. It's just ultra thin. I've had this for probably 10 years. There's no holes in it. It isn't worn out. I'll have it for another 10. Hey guys, go see mommy. I highly recommend getting one of these. They're not cheap. They're about $100 or whatever for one of these, $120. I don't know. I haven't bought one in 10 years, but this was about $120, I think, and worth every penny. Go see mommy. You little monkeys. Oh my gosh, I love those kids. Can't wait until I can take them backpacking. So there you go. Silicone impregnated tarp. You can set this up as an A-frame, as a shed, string it in between some trees, prop it up with some driftwood, use your hiking poles. There's so many different ways to set up really dependable shelter, even in high wind situations with just the sill tarp. So you gotta be a little bit creative, but it saves you, but this thing saves you like 5 pounds sometimes, depending on how big your tent is. So that's a huge weight saver. And then all I take is a bunch of 1/8 rope, nylon rope. And you can never have too much rope, so I just take a whole bunch of these, and then I can string up my tent in any situation I want. And I use this stuff for stringing up my hammock. Another thing that I always take with me is an extra pair of shoelaces. Nothing worse than being on a long hiking trip, busting a shoelace and having to like jerry rig your boot. So I just always keep these in my pack. It can be the difference between enjoying yourself on a camping trip and hating your life. So take some extra shoelaces. For sleeping, I use a down-filled mummy bag that's Gore-Tex, so the sleeping bag itself is waterproof. Why? Because I'm usually sleeping under the stars most nights, so I wake up with a lot of dew on my bag. And that way I know that, and having a waterproof sleeping bag is just kind of an extra precaution for me because I know that obviously goose down has no insulative value if it's wet. So keeping a goose down bag dry is paramount. To sleep on, I use a Thermarest guide light. I've had this thing for about 10 years. I've patched it, several times, getting hot sparks on it from sleeping too close to the fire, that sort of stuff. So I always take a patch kit with me as well because there's nothing worse than having a deflated air mattress to sleep on. Always bring a patch kit. For cooking, food, I'm lazy and I enjoy these. I got spicy sausage pasta, I got chocolate mudslide, all these are actually pretty decent. I haven't tried this kind. I'll let you know if these are good. Alpine Fare or Alpine Air. Usually I go with Backpacker's Pantry. Not a big fan of Mountain House. These are amazing because all you do is just boil like 2 cups of water. You little monkey, go see mommy. You boil 2 cups of water, you pour it in the bag, you close the bag up, you let it sit for like 10 minutes, and your food's cooked, and it's actually really good food, and there's about 2 portions in there. So, you know, for $7-8, you get a delicious meal. Like, it's really good, and especially when you're camping, everything tastes better when you're out in the bush. So, I like these things. I also bring, you know, some sausages and bagels and snacks and all the other good food as well, but it's nice to know that you got a nice, easy cook meal. When you get to camp and you're tired and you don't want to sit there cooking for an hour. Hey, go see mommy. As far as cooking goes, a lot of times you can just cook over the fire, but there are certain situations when you are not going to be able to get a fire started. There's either a fire ban or the rain is just insane and there's no dry wood anywhere. And, you know, sure, if you're a real man, you can get a fire going anytime. Trust me, there's situations where you can't get a fire going. So, in that situation, I bring my stove with me. I use the smallest stove possible. This is a little Soto, you know, micro stove. Pocket Rocket's another good one. Absolutely tiniest little stove. There's my stove. 1 burner. Fits on this little can of gas. This thing will last for, I don't know, at least a trip or 2, depending on how long you go. It's probably about 7 days of fuel right here, as long as you're not burning 3 meals a day. And so this stove folds out. It's got these little wings here that lock down. They fold up like so. And there's your pot. Your pot just sits right on there, like so. This thing will boil a pot of water in like 3 minutes, 4 minutes or something like that. It's got a little self-igniting starter on it. Works like a hot damn. There's your little fuel valve control, on, off. This is an amazing little stove. I left this stove up in the bush one time, and a fellow hiker brought it back down to the local office, and I forgot to pick it up for a couple weeks. I went out to pick it up, and it had been sitting out front the office full of rain. The fuel can, the stove was completely submerged for probably a couple of weeks just in the water. I pulled it out. It's brand new. Started it up first time. Igniter, everything still works, so this stove will work after being submerged in water for like 2 weeks straight. It's pretty reliable. That's made by Soto. They make a whole line of stoves, but just get the smallest one you can, because no point packing a super heavy hardcore stove out in the bush when all you need to do is boil some water. Stay alive. I take 1 pot with me, just 1 pot. I'm one person. I don't need a whole set of pots. You just need 1 pot, you know. It's easy to get stuck in the muck of gear and gadgets and all this little blah, blah, blah. That stuff weighs. It adds up to a lot of pounds in your pack that you just don't need. All you need is 1 pot. I eat out of the pot. I cook in the pot. I sleep in the pot. No. And then the lid is also a frying pan. So 1 pot, 1 lid. So you basically get 2 pots. Got my little handle grabber. Holds my pots like that. 1 handle for everything, right? Cuts down on weight. Don't want to be carrying some big pan out in the bush. Blades. Can't forget blades. What does the samurai take in the bush? Obviously, I take my handmade, hand-forged samurai knife. Oh, love this knife. Made it several years ago, forged out of a giant circular saw blade from a sawmill. The handle was got from a friend who had a big stag rack mounted. We cut it up, made a bunch of handles, and then everything else is brass. So I made this myself. The steel is just top notch, holds an edge forever. Love this blade. Come on, that's a sexy knife. Can't deny that. And some of you guys are like, you don't need a knife that big. You can take whatever Nancy boy knife you want out in the bush. I like a big sheath knife. I like to know I got a big blade on me at all times. It's just comforting, you know. If you're a bigger man and you want to carry a little Swiss Army knife, that's all you need. Good for you. This is the knife I take. I custom made this sheath. It's got this special strap that you can undo, and it wraps around the sheath. And it's designed to go around a pack strap, because 99% of the time I'm walking out in the woods, I got a pack on my back, so I don't wear a sheath knife. I keep my knife strapped onto my pack right here. I can strap this onto my life jacket. I can wrap it on my belt if I want. It's more of a horizontal draw that way. And this sheath is awesome. I should patent this design because it works flawless. That's the knife I carry. Axe. Oh no, Wrangler Star, you're gonna be shaking your head. I love my Fiskars axe. Sure, the steel's soft and it doesn't hold an edge forever, but as long as you're not smashing this thing into the dirt, this is an amazing axe. I have swung so many times full bore and just missed and struck the handle, and this thing is indestructible. Sure, there's guys out there that say, oh, I've broken them. I've only ever seen one of these axes broken in my entire life, and this lady was returning it. I was like, what the hell happened? How did you break that? And she's like, oh, my husband likes to chop firewood to release stress. So basically, the guy's an idiot swinging an axe as hard as he can, and he obviously broke it. I love this because you can split logs with it by striking it. You stick the blade in, and I pry these things sideways and can split, you know, big size logs of cedar driftwood. I have just abused this axe. I've had this thing for 16 years. It's been with me on every single camping trip that I've ever been on. And every guy that's come with me, guys that don't know how to use axes, like they've swung and missed and hit, and just, if this axe could have been broken, it would have been broken by now. Sure, some idiot could go out there and break it if they were trying to, but why the hell would you do that? So I made a little leather sheath for it. Love this axe. It's the perfect size. They say a camp axe should be, when you're holding it in your hand like so, it should come up to your armpit. You don't need an axe longer than that, and anything shorter is a hatchet, and it's really, you can get away with a hatchet, but I like to be able to put two hands and just take a tree down if I need to. So this is the axe that I carry. Fiskars, nothing but love for Fiskars from me. Sure, the steel's not the best, but whatever, you know, compromise. If they made this axe with a gram force steel head, then there'd just be no contest. If you're going on a hiking trip, I recommend using hiking poles. When I first got into hiking, I saw people using these poles. I thought, what a Nancy boy, like what are you using hiking poles for? You look like an idiot. And then I did a couple like 75K, 50-mile hikes, and ended up having to like make walking sticks out of branches, just because what hiking poles do is obviously they keep you on your feet. So if you're on slippery terrain, these things will save your ankles and your knees, because when you bail with a pack on, you can hurt yourself. And the best part about hiking poles is that they take about 15% of the weight off your feet, because that weight transfers onto your arms. And so they speed you up when you're hiking, and they increase your stamina. If you want to hike faster, cover more terrain, and hike longer, then you probably want to get a couple of hiking poles, because they're just, that's what they do. They work. So you might not look as hardcore as these other bush dudes out there, but these things are great. You can use them to prop up your tarp and set up tents. Like, they're multifunctional. Selfie stick, you know, clamp your GoPro on there. Love my hiking poles. My luxury items would be my little camp pillow here that like folds into this little sleeve, so it compacts down and it's full of little chunky foam bits. Fits in my pack, and it actually has a nice little flannel on it. Helps you sleep, because who likes to sleep without a pillow? So gotta have my pillow. My other luxury item would be my hammock. Fits in a bag. This is a Portec, you know, or Eagle Outfitters or whatever makes that. Pretty much everybody makes their own brand of these portable hammocks. And this thing just strings up wherever. It's got little built-in hooks on it, so you don't need any real hardware. You just need some rope to go around a tree and then hook it on, and you got a hammock. So when you're in camp, there's nothing like just stretching out in a hammock and passing out. As far as the pack goes, I got my waterproof pack here because we're doing a canoe trip. I don't want to take the chance of if my canoe flips for some, you know, strange reason, that my bag, you know, whoa, there goes my paddle. So this is just a heavy duty waterproof bag. You stuff all your gear in there, roll the top down, clip it together, and you've got a flotation device / waterproof survival bag. It's got a full frame system built into it with, you know, nice pads and everything, so you can actually do long hikes with this as well. It's really a cool pack. This is made at Mountain Equipment Co-op. I got that one there. My other go-to pack is a Gregory. I only do a 60-liter pack because I can fit everything I need in 60 liters. I can do 7-day trips with a 60-liter pack. You don't need a huge pack if you pack smart and you pack light. Other thing I use is just the good old Katadyn water filter. You don't want to take risks getting giardia and stuff like that. So always bring a water filter, ceramic water filter with you. I had the MSR one for a while, wasn't that happy with it. The Katadyn works way better. And then last but not least, my luxury item would be my peace pipe. Don't go camping without my pipe. Nothing like sitting around the fire, packing a bowl of tobacco in there and just drawing hard and enjoying your life. The only bummer about being a samurai is now I pretty much videotape everything I do in my life, and I love to take camera equipment camping because I just enjoy documenting the process. So all the weight that I save in gear, I end up just taking more gear to make up for it. So usually my pack weighs over 40 pounds, but I try and keep it under 40 pounds. So that was my quick gear guide. If you guys have any questions about gear, outdoor gear that you like and don't like, leave it in the comments below. We want this to be a learning, growing, educative process. I like to hear from you guys about awesome gear as well, so leave your comments in the section below. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, because life just gets better when you know the samurai. So until next time, samurai out.